How's it going, everyone? This is Paul Garcia of AnalyzingTheLeague.com. This is a quick cap video of the Denver Nuggets' cap situation after Darrell Arthur exercised his player option to return with the Nuggets next season at $7.4 million. The move was not wasn't shocking because that was kind of the projection that Arthur and most likely Wilson Chandler will both be back, just because there's a very limited lot of cap space overall in the league this coming summer, whereas it's a little bit better to try and see what kind of money is out there next summer. So real quick, if you look at the Nuggets cap situation right now, they have a 17-man roster when you include their free agents or players with options at $127.7 million, which is $26 million over the salary cap of $101 million, and they're a tax-paying team right now with these 17 players. Over the tax there by 4.7 million. So let's go ahead and look through a breakdown of the most expected moves, I would say. For now, we're going to keep Wilson. We're going to expect that Wilson Chandler is going to exercise his player option and remain with Denver. Let's say that they remove Devin Harris's cap hold. As far as Will Barton, they do want to keep his cap hold, but they're going to be in a tricky situation here when it comes to how much they want to pay Barton and what kind of market he gets out in the open market, because he's one of those role players that a lot of teams do want, and we'll just see how much Denver's willing to pay for Barton. So for now, let's keep his cap hold on there. Richard Jefferson, we can renounce his cap hold, and so it's a better minimum. Jokic is interesting. Denver has two decisions here that they can make. They have until June 24th to decline this team option, which would make Jokic a restricted free agent this coming summer. Now, if he becomes a restricted free agent, he'll have a $2.9 million qualifying offer. The Nuggets can exercise him, and from there they can either let him go see what kind of offer sheets he can get, so he can explore, have meetings with other teams, see if he can get an offer sheet and they can match it, or they could just, if they think he's ready for the full max at his number of years, they could just sign him to a $25.2 million max at the first year, which ends up being a 5-year deal for $146.4 million. So that's the first option Denver can take with Jokic. The second option is they can just exercise this team option, keep him on the books for next year at $1.5 million, but then they run the risk of next summer, should I say, he becomes an unrestricted free agent next summer in 2019, and then there's no guarantee you get Jokic back in this situation, because even though the Nuggets can offer the most money, a 5-year deal, at the max, he could still want to just leave and go play elsewhere, and he could accept a 4-year max from someone else. And there will be more teams with cap space, as I mentioned, next summer. So their best, the most logical expectations that they're going to decline the team option here before June 24th, let him become a restricted free agent, and then we'll see where the negotiations go. Do they just immediately give him the max at $25 million, or do they let him go out and see if he can get offer sheets from other teams? Because there's only, like I mentioned, there's only going to be projected like 7 teams with cap space. Torrey Craig, he's on a 2-way contract. So for now, let's go ahead and let's anticipate that they just because of the tax situation, let's go ahead and renounce that cap hold. The 14th pick, if they do keep the pick, it's going to be for $2.8 million next year. So let's look at their financial situation. Right now, let's look at the roster size. They have a 14-man roster at $116.5 million, which is, it's still basically 15.5 over the salary cap. Over the salary cap, but also, let's see here, they're still 6.4 shy of the luxury tax. Now, they're going to most likely be a tax team, depending on what they do with Jokic, because, let's say that they do decline the player option and Jokic becomes a free agent, and then by the time it's all said and done, they sign up to his max, which it's expected to be $25,250. You see that they end up being a tax team, and then that's a big amount there, especially for a team that didn't even make the playoffs last year. They barely missed the playoff window. So in this situation, I think that they have to bring Jokic back at a full max. They do probably have to let Will Barton sign elsewhere. So as you can see, they're at $133.4 million. They're still over the luxury tax, their hard cap. They'd still have the room exception of $4.4 million, to use as well. And in this situation, do they try to? There's been reports that they've been trying to try to trade Kenneth Faried's contract with the 14th pick. So I think that a team probably would take that deal if they could do it. So let's see what happens if you trade 14th and Faried. So they have 11 players. Let's put a roster chart, is what we call this. So just call it roster chart. Okay, so right now they have 12 players on the books at 117.6 million. Again, you're getting Jokic his maximum level contract for most likely 5 years in this situation. And this looks a little bit better. Denver's able to stay under the luxury tax. Right now, if they do, they could still go out and get one more role player to add to this group. So let's just put free agent. And the way they're doing this, how are they doing this? They're going to use what we call the room exception. So if they use the room exception, they still stay right below the luxury tax, and not the room exception. I apologize here. The tax exception. The tax. Okay, so if they do that, they barely with 12 players with 13 players on the roster, I believe that is. Actually, let's go through this. My apologies. Okay, so they have 13. We can actually let a player go because you don't need the roster chart. You just got to have a minimum of 12 players. Okay, so with 12 players on the roster, they've re-signed Jokic. They've had to let Barton go, but they've re-signed somebody. They've added a free agent. A decent role player with that $5.2 million mid-level exception. Well, then they're able to stay right below the tax at 122.1 million, which is so they're able to avoid the luxury tax. So you do stay as a competitive team. Hopefully they can keep Paul Millsap healthy for next season. You did most likely lose some part of your future because you traded the 14th pick to get rid of Faried's contract. But in the event that they don't make the playoffs, at least they see that they're not a luxury tax-paying team that missed the playoffs. So for analyzingtheleague.com, Paul Garcia.